Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to show you what a whip is for fishing. What is a fishing whip? When I went into a school and said to a group of children that in a moment they're all going to get a whip, you can imagine the faces on the teachers. A fishing whip. Okay, it's called a whip because the idea is that you can whip the line out, and then when you hook a fish you can bring them out of the water quickly and swing them back to hand. Match anglers invented this method of fishing to get a competitive edge, getting fish out quickly during a match. And that whippy nature of that rod means that no rod and reel is involved. That's the beauty of it for beginners. There's no tangles associated that's commonly associated with using reels. So that's why they're recommended for beginners. Small fish, no tangles. That's ideal, isn't it? So this is the sort of thing that people would encourage beginners to buy, myself included. If you're on a budget, £10 or £15 buys you a 4-metre telescopic whip, leading to a flick tip like that. Now, in the advent of barbless hooks, flip tips will absorb some of the shock, but with barbless hooks quite often the fish will come off, and with fish being stocked increasingly bigger, a lot of people might encourage you to use a whip that's been elasticated. A tackle shop will normally do that for you for about £5. So here's a whip tip that's been elasticated. It's still fiberglass, still cheap. It's been cut back, had a bush put in the end, and elastic run through the middle. On the other end, I just have a bead to secure the elastic. And a huge connector, in case you're wondering, is so that the beginners are able to easily manipulate it, opening and close it to attach their rigs. If you type in fishing whip on one of the main online fishing shops like Angling Direct, you'll be directed to kit that is just completely not a whip. Basically, very cheap, nasty material that's very heavy, that's designed to stop big carp. That's not a whip. It is an inferior pole. So here's a tip section off a carbon whip. You'll pay something more like sort of £80 to £200 for the equivalent length in good quality carbon. This one actually is a Cadence fishing whip. It's called a CP200. Extremely lightweight, which makes it again ideal for beginners, especially young or disabled anglers, because it's so lightweight. It's also lower diameter as well. You probably can't see that too well, but Cadence pole anyway. And obviously it's more fragile, but if you break a piece you can get them replaced. That one now I think was £160. So with the whip being much finer like this, you get the properties that give it its name. Far more flexible and bendy, and that acts as a shock absorber when you hook fish, and also allows you to whip very light floats out in front of you. Oh, and to attach a rig to a solid tip whip like this, if you buy one you'll find it's got nothing on the end. The way to do this is quite simple. You need to put a bit of silicone tubing that sits snugly over the tip here. Take that silicone tubing and put it on your rig. Get another piece of silicone tubing and put it back about 15 centimetres from the tip. So I've got it here. There's my silicone tubing. You can just about make it out, a bit of black rubber tubing. Let me just show you the rig. So here we go, here's my pole float on a rig winder. Here's the end. The rig itself is as long as the whip. That's something else I'll say that differentiates a whip from a pole, is that the rig is the same length as the whip that you're using because you're bringing it back to hand. I've got some silicone tubing on the end of my rig, and at the very end we've got a straight forward loop tied with a surgeon's knot. So we can forget about the rig for the moment. How are we going to get this loop onto a solid tip like that? Okay, let me try and show you. I'm going to drop the rig onto the floor. That can unravel. Down we go. Right, that's that on the floor. Right, so there's the loop at the end of my line, and I'm going to make another loop in the main line and post it through like that. Once I've done that, I can then put it over the top and tuck it just behind the silicone tubing and pull tight so it's like a noose. Hopefully you can see what I've done there. That's now secured on. Now to finish it off, all I need to do is wrap it round the tip. I'm twisting it like this until I've gone all out to the tip. Probably looking for about 12 even twists up to the top to spread the weight. I'm going to bring that silicone tubing up from the rig and push it over the top. It is fiddly, but once that's on, just putting the line tight, just going to push that on a little bit further. So I've got a good centimetre or two on the end of the tip, a little bit hanging off the edge, so that I can, from a distance, see that my line's not twisted around the end when I'm fishing. And that's now attached. There's no way that's going to come off. And the whip, because of its properties, will bend all the way through. It's got quite a big mid-action. It's not tippy. And it'll play fish up to about 5 pounds quite happily before you start worrying about that pole snapping. I wouldn't use rigs that would enable me to get to that position anyway. The hook length would have parted by then. I hope that's helpful. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed it, please subscribe. Right, I'm not happy with how that came out on the camera, so I'm going to do this with red sea fishing line so you can see what I'm doing. If you don't know how to tie a loop knot, then have a look at the video linked above. There's my loop. Right, so that's typically what we have on the end of a rig. To attach it to the pole, what I did was gathered up some of the line below and just posted it through like that as a loop. Okay, hopefully that's a little bit clearer. I'll just show you that again. Okay, so there's my loop at the end of the rig. All I'm doing is gathering a second loop like that. It's not tied or anything, I'm just making a loop. And then there's my loop, and I'm just posting it through the tied loop like that. That's this bit that goes over the pole, and then obviously once you pull like that, you have that noose effect. Okay, I hope that helps.